Bobby Miller just had a strong debut. Let's break it down on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, May 24th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White. And let's get into Dodgers pitching prospect Bobby Miller, who made his debut at the Braves. He went 5 innings, allowed just 1 run with 5 strikeouts to 1 walk. Scott, what did you see in the start from Bobby Miller? And what do you think? Is he a priority ad at 51% rostered?
Yeah, he's a reasonably high priority. It was an impressive debut, certainly better than his teammate Gavin Stone, certainly better than the debut we saw from Brandon Pfaadt a few weeks ago, even though the three were similarly regarded as prospects coming into the season. Bobby Miller against a very strong Braves lineup allowed 1 earned run of 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, only 1 walk. And considering the strength of the opponent, the fact it was his major league debut, that's pretty impressive. It wasn't a bowl you over good start the way like Bryce Miller's debut was, another B Miller. Bobby Miller had 10 swinging strikes on 95 pitches, which is a fine rate. He allowed the average exit velocity against him was 93.4 miles per hour, which is hard contact. Again, it was a really good lineup that makes hard contact, so maybe you give Bobby Miller a pass for that. I think the most impressive thing he did was he threw his fastball, 100 mile per hour fastball, just 31% of the time. He threw his slider and changeup nearly as often. So he showed a really nice pitch mix for a young guy who might be inclined to just lean on that big fastball at the start of his career, and got good results. If somebody like James Paxton's still out there in your league, I'd prioritize him over Bobby Miller. But Bobby Miller's roster rate deserves to go up with this start, and hopefully he can piece together a few more.
How about Bobby Miller or Brayan Bello, who over his last 5 starts has a 2.57 ERA and a 125 whip?
So I see even more reasons to be encouraged by Brayan Bello. Obviously, we're not just talking about one start with him. We're talking about several. And he does 2 things, 2 of the best things a pitcher can do. His swinging strike rate entering the start was 12.2%, which is pretty good. His ground ball rate, 61.9%, which is amazing. That's almost Framber Valdez levels. And when you get an elite ground ball pitcher like that who can also miss bats, it's a rare combination. It basically, it's just him and Framber Valdez that do that, Brayan Bello. So he's definitely trending a good direction here. If you're having to choose between him and Bobby Miller, though, it's kind of a sneaky consideration here. Bobby Miller's the one getting all the attention right now. I looked at the most viewed players on the roster trend page, even just sorting by pitchers. Brayan Bello wasn't even showing up. Nobody's looking at him in fantasy right now, much less picking him up. So there's more urgency to add Bobby Miller, I would say.
All right, let's stick with the pitching here, Scott. Yesterday we spoke about Corbin Burnes and how much he struggled so far this year. Gerrit Cole looks like he's slowing down a little bit as well. Up against the Orioles on Tuesday, 5 innings, 5 runs allowed, 3 walks to 2 strikeouts. And in his first 7 starts, Gerrit Cole did not allow a single home run. Now he's allowed 6 homers over his last 4 outings, and only 7 swinging strikes in this outing as well. So what have you seen from Gerrit Cole, and are you worried in the same way that you were about Corbin Burnes?
I mean, we have to put the worry into perspective. He still had a great season. There are a lot of high-end pitchers that are underwhelming here in the early going. But yeah, a lot of the same concerns that exist for Burnes do on the same level for Gerrit Cole. 11.5 K per 9 last year, only 9.3 this year. Big drop. Swinging strike rate, even more pronounced. It's gone from last year 14.3% to 11.5% this year. And yeah, those are the same kind of issues we're seeing with Corbin Burnes. Maybe Cole has succeeded while Burnes has been a little shakier because Cole has given up. He's had good home run luck up to this point. Guy who gave up 33 last year, entered this start with only 4. Now he's up to 6. it's not reason to bail on on Gerrit Cole, but I do think we probably shouldn't just assume he's the number one pitcher the rest of the way. Might be more like, top 10, top 5. I'm not sure exactly where I'd put him in my rest of season rankings, but Gerrit Cole doesn't need to automatically slot there in the number 1 spot.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.